Hey, good morning or good evening, wherever you are. Let's see. Okay, a little bit disjointed, but that's okay. We're getting it. We're getting it. I'm glad to be here and glad you all are joining us whenever you do. So if you're watching the replay, put replay, hashtag replay, and interact with me like normal. And yeah, let me know you're here. And so let's dive in. How you all doing? How you all doing? There's always a lot going on in life, right? I'm sure I'm not alone in that. That's why we have this. That's why I'm focusing on stress relief because, we didn't have a lot going on, a lot coming at us from all different angles, we probably wouldn't be so stressed. Isn't that true? So a lot of times that comes down to our filter, how much are, our boundaries. How much do we need to, are we setting boundaries, first of all, and how strong are they, and do they need to be strengthened and kind of expanded maybe? So that's something to consider for sure. It's a huge factor in our stress management, especially around the digital things. Are we putting boundaries around the digital world? So put me throw me a comment, if you say, down with the, sometimes you have a rest, that you're good with a rest. Are you good with a rest? Putting down your phone, your computer sometimes? Are you okay with that? Now, of course, I'm online, so, of course, I don't want you to put it down all the time. But are you being careful about how much you're on these devices and how much consumption, you're putting into your mind, and maybe with the news and this? So I'm going off on that just a little bit right now, just because that's for real. That's a real stressor in our lives if we're not careful. So can you relate? Yeah. So yes. So digital consumption, or just consumption of information. There's so much information overload these days that's honestly, I feel like, a huge part of our added stress in our modern world. And I think maybe we take it for granted of how big of a stress that is. Because just imagine, can you even imagine not having that whole digital life? Not having internet. I mean, just imagine you'd have steady work, don't worry about that part. You'd have something else. You'd have a full life, social life and everything, basically like it was 100 years ago, right? Something like that, or maybe we're the way it is in some places, but very few these days. The reason I bring that up, that's my cat crawling around here. The reason I bring that up is not because I want you to necessarily get off of social media necessarily or feel guilty about it. It's not about feeling guilty, but just allow yourself even to imagine what it would be like to not need social media, not need information, or have that not overwhelm you. Is it overwhelming you? Overwhelming, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you feel like information overload, gets to you, stresses you in your life? And you might not be fully aware of it. So 10 being totally overwhelming, and 0 being, I'm cool, I know how to set boundaries, I just, get the information I want and get out. Or, I post. So how much, does that affect your life, do you feel like? So so I'm just starting with that because honestly, sometimes when I think of it, I feel like that's a huge factor. It's not the only factor of stress in our lives, believe me, definitely not the only factor. But it is a huge factor that we really shouldn't overlook. Okay, so good morning, good evening, wherever you are, however you're doing. And if you are not familiar with me already, okay, thank you for being honest. Yeah, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by social media, and or not just social media. Like I said, it's really any information, news, information overload. We're getting information from all around the globe. Think of it. That's relatively new, constantly. And it's exciting and it's wonderful, it gets to connect us. But sometimes, we just have to be careful of how much it's affecting us. Okay. So, yeah, just bringing that to our attention because, I'm seeing sevens, eights here. That's intense. And it gets intense in terms of, how stressful that information overload feels like in your life. So, see if where you can put some more extra boundaries. Some try a like a dry day, like a no internet day, no social media day, no information day. Maybe there's room for that in your life, just to, if besides work. Okay, so you get on for work and then you get off. It can happen. It's possible. Believe me, it's possible. All right. So I didn't expect to go off on that subject today, but honestly, it feels very relevant all the time. So let's see. So I am Danielle Brisk of Be Well with Danielle. And if you're joining me in our group, our Facebook group, and if you're not joining me in our Facebook group, please join us on the Be Well with or Beyond Basic Wellness movement. It is now a movement, I'm calling it, because that's what it feels like. It's a movement of people who really want to prioritize their health, their peace, their sense of relaxation and well-being in their life, and come together around, self-care and really taking it into heart and transforming our lives with it, because it is possible. And then once, we experience greater healing and peace, we're able to affect so much more change on the outside. It always starts within. And it's not just, a nice saying. It's just the reality. That just is how it works. So, all right. So let's take a deep breath together. How about that? So go ahead. It's always nice to put your hand on your body to help you ground. Put your feet on the ground. Do a little wiggle, a little circle maybe. Feel your body on the chair or on the bed, wherever you're sitting or standing. You can just do a little shake so you can feel yourself planted. Go ahead and take some deep breaths. Hand on the belly too, and feel it expand on the inhale. And breathe it out on the exhale. Go ahead and keep going like that. Inhaling. Exhale. Go ahead and put 2 hands on your belly, your abdomen, or your lower belly, like you're holding your womb. We're going to have a little focus on the feminine aspect a little bit more. Women. So go ahead and hold your womb, your center of regeneration of life, creation, center of creation. And energetically speaking, it is. So tap into that sense of creativity that's innate in you. Breathe into it. Put your attention there and say thank you. Thank you. Because it's also creativity of ideas and new inspiration. So when we relax deeper and actually sink in deeper into ourselves physically, into our minds, when we quiet our minds and actually can tap in ourselves, then we can actually tap into that seed of creativity inside of us even more. That deeper inspiration where it comes from. It doesn't necessarily come from that one spot, but it could be from anywhere, anywhere inside or anywhere that we tap into. But that is definitely, our womb is definitely a seed, a center, a seat of creativity and new life in all forms. So we can honor that. When we bring gratitude to anything, then that sense of gratitude and life grows, right? So it's always beneficial to just, no matter what you're going through, stop and bring a sense, even if you can't quite get to gratitude yet, how about acceptance? And then into gratitude. Because even acceptance is stopping the struggle, the resistance, because it's the resistance to something that actually creates more attention, more pulling towards what you don't want. Okay, does that make sense? Because if you're focusing on something, even if you're focusing on what you don't want, you're still focusing on it, right? So you're going to move towards that. So ultimately, we want to focus on what we do want, right? So it's like keeping our attention on what we do want over and over again, learning how to do that. That's key. That's key. And when those thoughts come in that want to draw you to what you don't want, say, it's okay. That's just old habit. Come back on track. I know what I want now. Just keep going. So, all right. So I'm going off usual schedule today. I decided I'm not going to follow a strict schedule today. So I'm like letting myself, just see whatever comes up. But I'm so glad. I want to share just some basic announcements with you. One announcement is that personally, I engaged this last week in an incredible online training. Have you heard of Tony Robbins? Put Tony in the comments. Have you heard of Tony Robbins? He's a global figure that teaches on self-empowerment, among many other things. And it was really awesome. It was awesome to be a part of that online training. And it's definitely going to help me be able to affect more change in people's lives. So I'm really excited about that. People moving around here. That's all right. That's life. That's life. But so let's see. So usually I go through the 6 pillars of holistic health and stress relief. And so what I'm going to do right now is just brief through them. And brief through them so you have a sense of what they are. And then I'm just going to talk briefly on women's health specifically. Okay. So within the Be Well programs, if you want to dive deeper into, finding greater peace and healing in your life, possibly by working with me directly, what we would do is we'd go through all these 6 pillars really systematically. So it includes breathing, how we breathe. Like I started with really basic things and can get even more intricate, but even the basics are so transformational. And how we think and speak, like I was saying, when your mind's going in one direction, can you redirect it? And how do you do that? That's a whole subject, whole huge subject in itself. When you speak, what we take in, nutrition, what we take into our body is a huge part of our overall health, right? Did you ever hear the saying, we are what we eat? Remember that old saying, you are what you eat? Yes, you remember? We are what you eat? Throw that in the comments. Do you believe it? So I'm curious. True or not true? Is that true or not true that we are what we eat? What does that even mean? I may get back to that. So I'm just curious where people are at with that. Is that true or not? Okay. May come back to that. Then we also have what we let go of, detoxing. If we're taking things in, we got to let things go. And that's just as important to look at that in our overall health and well-being and relaxation. It plays a huge part in our relaxation. Did you know our digestive system and our elimination system, it definitely directly impacts our nervous system, our mind. Most of our mind is not in our head, is in our gut. Did you know that? Our mind, because the gut and the brain interact very intricately, very intimately. They're sending signals back and forth all the time. And it's also based on our microbiome, the part of us that's actually not human cells, but that's, the friendly bacteria and friendly viruses, even, and friendly fungi. It's a whole huge array it's a forest in our body, a forest of, and that's how it's meant to be when we feed it right. So what we let, and that helps when we have the right, combination of, or a healthy combination of microbiome, as it were, then it definitely helps the elimination go a lot smoother. So that makes a huge difference. And also if we're affected by a lot of toxins in our environment, in our food, in our products, then that also degrades the lining of the intestines, making it really hard to eliminate easily and correctly, because then the toxins actually get into our bloodstream and so on and so on. So it's a huge subject in itself. And definitely, if there's some illness going on, it usually starts in the digestive system. Did you know about that? So that's a well-known fact among, holistic practitioners. So then we have how we live and move our bodies, lifestyle, another huge factor. Keep going. And how we connect our energy and using energy consciously is really incredible. When we're able to do that, or when we learn how to do that, that's a game changer for sure. All right. So those are the 6 pillars of holistic health and stress relief that we use in the Be Well with Danielle programs. And I dive into, deeper into each one, and also have programs that, assist people with each one specifically as well. So for example, if you want to just learn more about one of them in more detail, we can also do that. All right. I wanted to hold up this book here. So talk about women's health. Have you heard of this book? Women's Wisdom, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. Have you ever heard of that? Say Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. Write that down. Write that in the comments. Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. Because I wonder if it's in your libraries, or stores near you. It may be. Very well may be. So it's a huge book, as you can see. Definitely not a light read. But if you have a teenager or a young adult, or maybe you yourself want to dive into learning more about how our bodies work. Most of you are women, so how our bodies work, because we aren't taught that, right? We aren't really taught how our bodies work. Okay, yeah, so we all know we have, this menstruation cycle, we can have babies, all that, but what are the details behind that? How does that actually affect us? On every level, it affects us. And it's not a bad thing. It's just nature. That's nature. But the more we know about it, the more we can be empowered to work with it and appreciate it. Right? Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered your cycle as actually a gift and a opportunity to learn more about yourself, more about your surroundings, that you're more sensitive, but that's a good thing, that we need that sensitivity. And that, for example, when you're more sensitive around your your time of your period, you're actually, you may be sensing something that's off in your life. So if there's something you're sensitive to, there may be a reason for that, that it needs more attention, and that in fact it's not right. Something is off about it. And maybe it's bothering you more now, but maybe there's a reason for that, right? Have you ever considered that? That it's not just you being sensitive just for no reason. Has that ever crossed your mind? So that's something I wanted to bring up, because in our societies, I think it's sometimes too common to just put the feminine down. But times are shifting, and that's no longer going to be the case anymore. You know, where the feminine is being respected more and more. So it's going to start with us respecting ourselves and our own body more, okay, and our own mind, how it works differently, and understanding that. So the more that we do it, then it'll be easier for others, for men to follow suit and understand, be more compassionate also. Okay. So on a practical note, since I'm talking about the subject of menstruation and all that, which is very, oh, I'm putting her comment up there. Sorry about that. Okay. Which is very, obviously a very real part of being a woman, a part of being a woman. There's a couple of things that I wanted to mention in addition. I'm aware that there's reasons why women's cycles are being really disrupted these days, in particular, for a while now, and that fertility issues, miscarriages have been really on the rise. It's no joke. A lot of people in one group, I was seeing, person after person actually saying that literally on Mother's Day, they were miscarrying. It's a very sad reality for a lot of people all over the world. Maybe, I don't know if it's especially in the US. I'm not sure, where it's happening most, but it is a reality these days. And it's not, quote unquote, normal. It is normal today, but that's not healthy. When something's off with our period, that's a sign. Our periods are fertility, our life, right? The ability to give life is a sign of health. So when there's a disruption in our period, and when it's too heavy, when it's causing pain, that's some sign of also there's some dis-ease, some illness, some heaviness in the body. Did you know also the period is also a chance for the body to detox? So if there's a lot of cramping, a lot of heaviness and pain around the period, then that's also a sign that there's too much toxins that the body's trying to get rid of all at once. Okay, so it's all related. But that gives women an advantage, that it gives them this extra form of detoxing. But if there's too much, toxicity in the body, especially in that area, then that's when it often is painful and is, too heavy or over, very heavy. So is that, you don't necessarily need to share about this. This can be a personal issue, feel personal, but honestly, so many people are dealing with this. If you're dealing with any issues with your period and your menstruation, you're by far not alone. It is a very sad reality these days that is very common. And there are solutions. Just like with the stress relief, the holistic health program that I help people with also helps with these type of issues just the same, because cleaning up our diet, working on detoxing better, cleaning up our mind also can help. Breathing better can help. All these things. But number one is our diet actually makes a huge difference in our menstrual health. But sometimes we have to go deeper than that. Sometimes it is a lot deeper than that also. So again, it's always something you have to look at on a personal level. What are you dealing with specifically? What are the factors affecting your body and your mind and your health? Okay. So One thing I don't know if you guys appreciate me going off on this subject or not, but this is what I felt moved to talk about today. It was just being Mother's Day, but so I want to focus on women a little bit more. And any day is a good day to focus on women's health anyhow. But it really is actually a big passion of mine, in addition, to empower women around our own bodies, because there's so much we don't know. We're not necessarily taught about our specific bodies and how they're different and unique and amazing, and to appreciate them for what they are and can do. So if you okay, I'm seeing someone saying hormonal imbalances. For sure, hormonal imbalances, because yes, everyone has hormones, but yeah, the hormones in women go up and down quite frequently, right? And so, but it's all can be fixed. But what happens is there are a lot of toxins in the environment, in our products that we might use on our body, in our skincare, in our hair, you name it, perfumes, smell, fragrances that actually affect hormones as well. Food affects hormones for sure. So all these things that we're doing in our life and using in our life affect us internally. It's all one and the same. Okay? So you can't really separate the two out. So the more that you look at kind of detoxing or, using less toxic or non-toxic products, the better off you'll be. But it's hard nowadays not to use any. It really is. So that's why it's kind of always a constant work in progress. Specifically, what do you use for your menstrual care? Are you using conventional? You don't have to tell me, but I'm asking the question. Are you using conventional products, conventional tampons or pads or what have you? That's something to consider changing if possible, because a lot of those products actually leach toxins into the body. Because if you think about it, if they're white, they've been bleached white. They're not, most things in nature are not white, right? Wood is not white. So it's like if it comes, so if it's white, it was bleached, right? So, so then it has those bleach chemicals, in the product, as well as other chemicals I'm sure that they put in there. So think about that. And that honestly, I've heard stories of people just literally getting away from those conventional products and using less toxic or non-toxic products for their period control. And that in itself can actually get rid of some of the extra cramping and heaviness around your period. So if that's something you're experiencing, that's the simplest solution to start with. One thing that I have that I actually do sell or advise to people, if they want to, it's not the only, alternative, but it is something called a menstrual cup. So have you ever heard of a menstrual cup? The typical one that I've seen is made of, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, silicone. And so it can be white or pink or whatever, but it's non-toxic. But then there's a natural rubber one that I also have that I can sell. So they're not necessarily the easiest to use at first. There can be a learning curve. I will admit that. There's also non-toxic and reusable pads that people use. That can be a simple option. Or there's actually a lot of other options that are non-toxic as well these days. They're coming out more and more options. So I just wanted to hold this up because I do have these. This is the one that I sell is called the Keeper. It is the only all-natural rubber one that I've seen on the market, at least here in the U.S. So if that's something you want more information on, it's actually a one-time purchase pretty much, because you just keep reusing it, cleaning it out and reusing it. So it saves you money as well. So if that's something you want to learn more about, actually the website is just keeper.com, or send me a direct message and I'll send you more information about that. Also birth control, there's so many subjects, so, how is your birth control affecting? Are you using hormonal birth control? If that's something you're using, or maybe not at all. But a lot of people nowadays are using hormone-based birth control, which also really affects their hormones, obviously. which is going to have an impact in their body. So there's a lot of things that affect our, us as women, even more so these days in our health. And there's another time I'll just take some time and actually bring on an expert on breast health, because that's another subject I really feel like we as women need to educate ourselves on, how to take care of our breasts. And there's actually really practical ways to do that. Lymphatic massage helps to drain them so that it actually helps to, move. Are you even aware of the lymphatic system? Have you heard, say, lymph? Write the word lymph. Do you even know? Let me write the word lymph. Lymph. Let's see. Lymph. Actually, now I'm drawing a blank. Lymph. I think it's like that. I may be wrong, but lymph. So is that? But anyways, regardless of how you spell it, have you heard of it before? Are you aware of what that is? The lymphatic system is really important, especially for women, because our breast tissue is mostly lymphatic tissue, fat and lymphatic tissue. So it actually plays a huge role in our breast health. Did you know that? Did you know that? Does that blow your mind? Mind blown? Or is that like old news for you? I'm really curious, how much, where you're at, your starting point. So there's a lot that we're not really taught about our bodies, but I feel like it should be part of like 101. How our body works should be essential for everybody to learn, because that, can inform so many decisions we make in our life. How does food affect us? What's this insulin thing? That's something I want to talk about another time soon. Insulin is you hear about insulin resistance. That actually plays a role in so many factors in our body. It's not just for diabetes, diabetics to be aware of. It's actually for all of us to be aware of. So stay tuned for that. Okay. All right. Is that a little bit information overload? Are you guys doing okay? So let's settle in. Let's move out of our mental mind right now after all that information. But yeah, I do believe that health, my new logo or slogan is learn well, grow well, live well. Learn well, grow well, live well. So really learning is a key aspect of becoming healthy. If we need to learn about health, learn about what affects our body and how, right? Learn about ourselves. And then we can grow into ourselves better, grow into those new patterns better, and be and live in that new way, more and more each day. And, as the weeks go on, it's a process, and then we'll be well, right? Learn how to be, and be is very intentional. Learning how to be instead of do, or instead of have, just being. How often do you allow yourself to just be okay with yourself the way you are? That you don't have to add, look like this or act like this in order to just be okay the way you are. Would that be all right? Would that be okay with you if you were okay the way you are? Could you live with that? Because there's nothing really going to change it, right? You are how you are, and you are okay. You are perfect the way you are, right? We all are. We're all made the way we are. So, we got to be perfect. We got to be okay with that one way or another, right? So the more we can come to accept and feel love for ourselves the way we are, then really the more peaceful we will be, right? That is a key component of it. So learning how to be, to just be, and to be with others that allows us to be with others, right? When we're more okay being with ourselves, then we'll be more present with others that we love in our lives and other people. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Let me end now. Stop talking and talking because, once I get going, I do get excited about these topics. So share with me the biggest takeaway you got from this. If there was some key point that really hit home for you, or that you want to learn more about, go ahead and write that in the comments. And then let's settle in and end with our relaxation meditation, a healing meditation. Okay. So get yourself settled again. Close your eyes. Again, put your hands on your body. Even give yourself a hug. Start by just noticing and being aware of your breath. Okay, so notice the inhale. How does your body move when you're inhaling? Where does it move? Or does it move at all? Do you naturally breathe through your nose or your mouth? Just start by noticing, observing. What do you notice the feelings around your body are? Can you feel the connection with your seat? Do you feel the floor? Do you feel your hands on your lap, perhaps, or wherever they are lying? What sensations do you feel in and around yourself? What is your exhale like? Where does the movement happen when you're exhaling? What happens in your mind as you're focusing on your breath, on the body's sensations? What do you notice about your thoughts? What do you notice about your energy? Can you feel any energy moving in and around your body, even beyond the physical body? Focus your attention about a foot above your head. What do you notice there? And when you do that, how does that affect the rest of your body? How does that affect your heart? Your mind? Your feet? Put your attention below your feet. What do you feel there? Imagine yourself, put yourself in an egg of light, beautiful, shiny, shimmering light, silvery light all around you. You're encompassed inside this egg. It's holding you, cocooning you, nurturing you. And on the outside is a golden layer, golden ring. So protecting, feeding, nurturing. And you can put any of your family members inside of these golden eggs as well, each individually. Just picture them around them for extra healing and protection to go on continuously. Great. So now putting our attention back into our breath and taking a few deep, intentional breaths. Inhaling deep through the nose, feeling the whole body moving, filling with air, and exhaling, letting it out with a big sigh. And again, inhaling. And exhaling. And another time, big inhale. And let it out. Good. And the sound helps your body relax even more. And now taking a few deep inhales and exhale through the nose. Inhaling through the nose and exhale through the nose, nice and slowly. So I'll count and you can just go with me with the inhale, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. Inhale. 1, 2. And hold. Exhale. 1, 2. Hold. Inhale. Hold and exhale. Hold. Inhale. And hold and exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold and exhale. Hold. And just notice your breath again. Let yourself breathe at your own pace. And just notice it and pay a little bit more attention to the hold, to the space in between the inhale and the exhale. That space in between is actually very powerful. If you elongate that exercise I just did, and then focus on the hold more and more, the space in between, that's actually one amazing way, one beautiful way of going into a deeper meditation. Okay, so you can continue now if you'd like, or in any other time. It's that space of being, nothingness, pause, no action. A space where everything's just okay the way it is. You're perfect just the way you are, just enough. So, if you have any doubts coming up or any fears, see if you can come back to that place of stillness, in between the breaths even, in between movement. That place where you just are. So, I don't blame you if you don't want to come out of this space wherever you are right now. But thank you so much for joining me again today. When you come back, to focusing, share with me anything about your experience. Wish you blessings and peace. And do feel free to reach out personally if you have any questions or want to go deeper into any subject I talked about. So until next time, learn well, grow well, live well. Be well with Danielle. God bless. Take care now.